is just its own assembly, right?
Right, right.
Um, Anyway, I want to be able to compile against
Mm-hmm.
with trimming enabled. So
Uh-huh.
trimming, what it does is it just removes any unused symbols,
Right, right.
right? It starts at main and then just searches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that can be a bit of a problem with C Sharp sometimes
Okay.
because it has reflection, which
Uh,
means it's not always possible to tell what code will actually be used at compile time.
I see. Okay, okay.
Especially once you start loading in like external
Uh-huh.
mods and stuff like that, right? Then it becomes a real mess.
Right.
Um, so I'm working on figuring out a way to do source generator so that
Mm-hmm.
I can basically just mark methods to be not trimmed, right?
Right. Okay.
Specifically like API methods.
Right.
That would be a problem if they did. Um, so that's what I've been working on, and then I also figured out how to do assembly load in a slightly different way. So up until now, I've always been loading assemblies in with like the applications domain,
Mm-hmm.
which basically just loads the code into the main like runtime context.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
.NET.
Right.
Um, there's a different way to do it though, a better way.
Mm-hmm.
You can uh, you can just actually create what's called an assembly load context,
Mm-hmm.
and if you load it into there,
Mm-hmm.
then first off you can do some stuff to basically sandbox it, like isolate it, stop giving it file access permission and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important just for security.
Right.
Um, and then the other thing you can do with it is you can actually unload the assembly after,
Mm-hmm.
which is not as important for mods because
Mm-hmm.
basically if you want to change out the mods, just restart the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is important for the editor
Okay.
because the game's like core code
Right.
is technically loaded in just as a mod, which means if you're in the editor
Uh-huh.
and you change the source code, I
Uh-huh.
need to be able to recompile it
Uh-huh.
and re-import it
Right.
without having to restart the entire editor application, right?
Right.
Um, and then I figured out that you can do that, then
Uh,
that's what I'm gonna do.
I got you. By the way, this is casual, alright? I just started casual.
Yeah,
Or like, okay, I need to be able to hit the ball properly. Go like that.
nice. Um,
So did you? So there is no such thing. Is it inbuilt? It's not inbuilt in C sharp.
what? Sorry.
The code generator and all that.
It is built into C Sharp, but it's like a
Uh-huh.
really it's weird how it works. So
Okay.
it's,
You know, other thing
what you
is
have to do
this.
is for generators.
Uh-huh.
Um, what you do is you make like so you've got the project that you're working on,
Uh-huh.
and then you're gonna have some sort of like API project also, and that's gonna contain the
Uh-huh.
uh, the attributes and types and stuff that you actually want to start source generating with.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then you have a third project that actually contains the source generator code, and you have to link against that with a special flag.
Right.
Um, and then that will basically use the third project as part of the compiler
I see.
when you compile, right? So,
Hmm. Have you
but
looked
I've never
in?
used it before,
So what
really. So
IDE do you use?
Visual Studio.
Visual Studio. Have you looked into the extension of Visual Studio extension for doing this thing?
Not a lot. There is an extension for it, but at least with C Sharp, you
Mm-hmm.
don't really need an extension for it
Mm-hmm.
because like, Visual Studio is by Microsoft, C Sharp is by Microsoft, .NET's by Microsoft, so they built these tools into it.
Right.
Um,
Sorry.
it's just that I've never used it before.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. And then as far as like mod load and all that, yeah, there aren't really tools for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously doing like dynamic dependency injection is been done a million times, right? Because that's what these mods are.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is they aren't really designed usually to be unloaded again.
Mm-hmm. Ah, I see.
Like the tools that I found, they
Mm-hmm.
have interface to load a mod or
Mm-hmm.
a dependency or whatever they want to call it, right? A plugin, and
Well,
uh, and there's no utility to actually unload it.
right. Ah, I see.
Um, yeah, and then also some of them don't even have security options, which is really stupid. Um,
Yeah, people just write the extensions just for.
just for whatever it is that they're doing, and then they
Yeah, exactly.
publish it, and if it works, then it works. But yeah,
Right.
so um, yeah. But I mean, I got my load working now. Next on the agenda is
Mm-hmm.
changing up the load because right now I actually still am loading into the main context. Um, like the full permission context. So that's next up on the agenda is swap it out.
Mm-hmm.
But that should be very trivial
I got you.
because
Okay.
I'm already loaded it into a context. It's just
Mm-hmm.
defined to be the main one. Um, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it's that's what I have found too. Like that nowadays, if you're programming, then you're not going to find everything all in one place.
Yeah. You know what? You say that. I did find one utility that's just so useful. It actually is almost everything that I need in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
game engine sort of libraries. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
audio, input, window, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Graphics. It's called Silk.net, and it's basically just
The
bindings
soap
for all
dot.
of these different
Okay.
Silk.net. Yeah, yeah. And it's basically just C# bindings for all these different common libraries,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all put together with like a consistent interface and a consistent set of libraries, so they work together nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm switching over to that because up until now I've been basically writing my own bindings or
Mm-hmm.
finding sort of like disparate third-party bindings.
I got you. Okay.
So obviously there's a lot of work just to make them actually work together properly.
I see.
Um,
I think Java
so
is good in this matter.
yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Java is good in this matter because Java has a pretty good soap. Basically, RMI whole entire RMI is there in Java. So
sorry, RMI stands for.
remote method invocation.
Right. Okay.
So you can always
Ooh, it's a,
oh, so you can always utilize that.
mhm.
One second, well, let me check on my dog.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while since I coded anything in Java. Like it's like 2 years. Yeah. So, so
Because the last time I was doing anything in Java, I was using Kotlin.
uh
Kotlin's just disgusting.
huh.
Um, but I had to because I was modding stuff in Minecraft, and it's all built off of Kotlin.
Mm.
Um, oh,
1 second.
mm.
Okay. All right, let's go and teach them a lesson now. There he goes, going in. He doesn't
Yeah,
stop.
see? What the? Okay, I'm landing wrong. Nice. Oh, that's still enough.
Ah, dude, what cheating? All right, looks like Jose. I might have to hose him. Hold on, Jose, you're going down, Jose.
I'll tell you what though, I'm so glad I found that stuff thing.
Uh-huh.
Because not only is it, shit. Not only does it do the bindings for all the libraries that I need,
Mm-hmm.
like the C++ libraries, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It does the bindings for all those libraries on Windows, Mac, Linux, and a few consoles also.
Right.
And it's got an interface to include natives for
Mm-hmm.
additional platforms. So,
Right. Okay.
awesome. Right? I mean, it's fully streamable now.
Right.
It even has Vulkan, which is sort of nuts.
Uh-huh.
Because, I tried, I was figuring out what graphics libraries I want to use for this.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I wanted to use Vulkan,
Mm-hmm.
but the bindings that I was able to find were incomplete,
Mm-hmm.
and I really didn't want to have to make my own because like
Mm-hmm.
OpenGL has a few methods in it, right? Vulkan has thousands.
Right.
That'll take so long to design, to interface with. You can
Perfect.
automate parts of it, but some of it, if you
Uh-huh.
want it to be even halfway decent to use in C Sharp,
Right. Right.
then you gotta do a fair amount of work on top of that. Um, no, but this is Vulkan installed too, so I'm considering using Vulkan still instead of OpenGL.
Hmm.
I'm definitely gonna do first pass, at least some stuff with OpenGL first. Just because that way I get something on the screen and
Uh-huh.
actually move on to some other things. But I obviously won't implement, fancy, good-looking rendering, just the basics.
Right.
Because,
And what are you
I'm
using
streaming
soap for?
code, and holy shit, that scares me. Huh?
I said, what are you using soap for? Oh,
Soap?
yeah.
Nothing. I didn't mention soap.
You said soap.net, right? So,
Oh, soap. Yeah, sorry. What am I using it for?
yeah.
Well, it's literally just bindings for the native libraries, like in C++,
Mm-hmm.
for
Okay.
OpenGL and Vulkan and
Okay.
JFW and so on and so forth. Because, like, I could use, for example, like Microsoft Forms or whatever it's called,
Mm-hmm.
or Direct3D,
Mm-hmm.
because those are supported by Microsoft, right? Which
Right.
means that they have those sort of built into C Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, they have packages designed specifically for it.
Mm-hmm.
What that is, it locks you into Windows, right? And I would like my game to be able to run on a little more than just Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly the engine.
Right, definitely.
So that's what that is. It's basically just C++
Mm-hmm.
libraries that are getting bound into C#.
Yeah, that's is sort of, I think
My, oh,
I'm telling you, bro, Rocket League God is not happy right now. I gotta like do some lamb sacrifice or something for him to get happy.
wow, I missed that one.
I knew your intentions. I knew it. I knew it. Look at that! Look at that! Look at
I couldn't get the demo though, you fit wrong. Shame on me.
that!
There we go. Oh, shooting it. Nice, okay. GG.
We like that.
Like, here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The .NET Core runtime, that's available on basically every platform in existence now.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the extension libraries and stuff like that are not. Specifically, a lot of the ones built on Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Take it, take it, take it.
yeah. Oh,
I was almost there to steal it. I mean,
close.
all right, you wanna go ranked?
Sure.
Let's go. Yeah, it's a. I wish I knew C# or something,
Yeah.
but I have literally no knowledge of it.
I don't know. You know Java though, right?
I do, yes.
You don't have C# then.
Right, yes. But it's just like syntax and all, but like how it knows there are certain things that are there. Um, I think Java now it is being made a lot easier.
Well, okay, like I'll put it this way: a lot of the features that are coming to Java
Hmm.
are coming from C#, and then a lot of the features that are coming to C# are coming from Java. So they're becoming almost identical languages now. The syntax is still a bit different, yeah. Like, I think in Java, if you have a class that you want to prevent people from inheriting, what is it you call it? You call it final, right? That's the keyword?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, in C#, it's sealed instead.
I
You know what I
see.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I got you. You know, lots of. I mean, that's what this is what I have heard too. Like that. Yes, it's pretty similar. And in fact, I think that pretty much every prompt programming language is this way.
yeah, pretty much. The only place where I think it gets significantly different with C# and Java is with unsafe. So unsafe is like a special keyword,
Uh huh.
or more accurately, like it's a scope or a closure, which you can wrap code in, and
Mm-hmm.
it basically gives you access to lower level, less safe sort of operations. Like, for example, you could take addresses of stuff and drop pointers and stuff like that. And I don't think Java has anything like that, does it?
Java, okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm lost.
Okay. So, in Java, and in C#, when you make an object, then really you have a reference to that thing and it's allocated somewhere on the heap.
Right, yes.
Okay. So, you access that variable through reference. But you can't actually get, like, its integer memory address, basically.
Right.
I don't think you can do that in C++ or in Java at all, right?
Uh,
Like the actual physical memory address of an object.
Physical, you can. There is a concept of reference. Yeah, the whole entire referencing works based on that.
I mean, just as an integer. I know it works off of that, but like, can you turn it into an integer and do math with it, basically?
That is something. Referencing and dereferencing. There is a way to do those things, but I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a commonly used.
Yeah.
Part of that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then, like C#, it has a same thing. Actually, then I didn't know that you could do that in Java. Because what they have is it's all built off of references and such. But there's a special context on safe where you can just take the addresses and reference and dereference things.
I see.
I'm not sure right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the syntax is similar between them too.
Yeah.
Do you know how Java does its library loading? Because I think it's basically loaded per file, isn't it?
Java has a concept of packages in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are more like namespaces, right? Like you assemble multiple packages into one like DLL.
Yes, Java has namespace concept in there. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So everything is a package in Java. Actually, you don't have to really. So if you really want something, you don't have to really worry about. You call it worry about library.
Right.
Because everything from the get-go, every program, a single line, hello world is even written, it's written as a package.
Yeah, but what about Lincoln? Doesn't it won't it do dynamic linking?
It does automatically. IDEs handle all those things. Any Java IDE is very well capable of handling linking.
I know. I'm thinking like for dynamic package importing with reflection and stuff. Basically, what I'm doing. I'm just wondering if it works differently.
No, it doesn't. I mean, so
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like.
I mean, the details are different, obviously, but like.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, no. Oof.
So yeah, it's I never asked these questions to myself, to be honest. I never asked these questions myself. I just know that.
Really, how often do people even use reflection for stuff? They'll use it for a few things, but not for load entire libraries and stuff like that usually.
Right.
Right, because 9 times out of 10, if there's a package or something that you need, you just compile with it. Like.
Right.
There's not really a reason to do anything differently usually.
Right. And And lots of things happen in Java by default, so
Yeah.
it's really
I think I might have said this before, but you know what my favorite language is?
what.
It's actually not C# or Java or C++ even.
Mm-hmm.
It's this little language called Beef.
Beef.
Yeah. Nobody's
Oh
ever heard of it because it's
no.
being developed by this one guy. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Which is why I don't use it because like, one
Uh-huh.
person can't build an entire execution environment.
Uh-huh.
Certainly can't support many platforms with it. But fundamentally, the language is awesome because it's all of the nice things about C# and a lot of the nice things in Java.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's based around C# syntax. But it doesn't have garbage collection.
Okay.
So the memory management is manual,
I got you.
which for game development is absolutely phenomenal. And I think for programming in general.
It is. And I think if memory management is manual, so
Because like we've resolved a lot of the issues
mm-hmm.
in manual memory management and figuring out how to do it correctly. Like that's a solved problem.
Right.
Um,
It teaches a lot about programming too, because lots of people, because automatic memory management and all basically is just it does not, it's not a very good practice, I think.
no, good performance-wise, it's actually not too terrible anymore. Because like the garbage collectors have gotten so fast now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never going to be as good. And I think the biggest one isn't even performance or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a lifetime issue, right? Because with garbage collection, you have no idea when something's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that's really annoying.
Right.
Because, for example, right, locks and resource acquisition and all that stuff
Mm-hmm.
becomes just so much harder now.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just throw the unlock and all that in the deconstructor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's why. I don't know what they call it in Java, but in C# there's an interface called disposable,
Okay.
and it's basically a deconstructor, except not actually a deconstructor. You call it, and you call it when you're done with the object, when it's about to die.
I got
So
you.
like the
Okay.
other.
Okay.
And they have set up the compiler and the syntax to have a bunch of shortcuts so that you can basically treat it as if it is a deconstructor.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's a band-aid solution, right? Because they're trying to work around the limitations of
Right.
garbage collection. Because specifically, I found that was a real issue with the entity component stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah. I think you're talking about garbage collection like it does in Java.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Because what I found was basically I want to be able to. So okay, so I got my entities in this game, right? And they're basically just big arrays of a bunch of data.
Right.
Right. The issue is my game runs across multiple threads, and I need to make sure that I'm never right into the same one from multiple threads. And if I do, I would like it to throw an exception immediately. Not just if I do, but if it's even possible that they write to the same one, right? Because if it is, then I've programmed it incorrectly. There's a bug. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it'd be nice if it just crashes right away.
Right.
And it turns out getting that to work is sort of difficult because everything has to be disposable. Pretty much everything.
Yes. Yes.
Which is really annoying. Like,
Right.
why can't I just use a deconstructor, right?
But yeah, so here's the thing though. So that's where the difference is in Java. Like there is no concept of deconstructor. Java has constructor there. Java has concept of constructor, but
No, I
But
know.
constructor does not handle any unused object. Constructor is mainly used for absolute classes, or so as a class initializer or object initializer.
Yeah,
So when you,
deconstructor for it. Yeah.
yes, so when you,
Um, but my point is, like, a deconstructor is just a method that gets called whenever something goes out of scope. Like
yeah,
generally speaking,
okay,
right?
okay, I see. That's exactly what I was thinking in my head right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
As to, so when you destroy,
If it's deallocated, it does. If you delete it from the heap, then
uh-huh,
the deconstructor gets called. If
yes,
you throw an exception and the scope gets exited because of that exception, then the deconstructor
yes,
will also get called, right?
right. And not just that, I mean, you have to think about it in this way too, that um so whenever you are creating a class, right, so you
Mm-hmm.
are already defining the hierarchy, as in w- not the hierarchy but more so like the scope of the class,
Yeah.
as to, and the methods actually, so methods that you define in it, they have a scope, right, that okay, this is where
Yeah.
variables, I'm sorry, what am I saying, even I'm just bullshitting right now. So so the variables you define everywhere, they have a scope, right, that okay, within the scope they work. Now when you define a class, and like for example absolute class is there, absolute class is nothing but what, bunch of variables that are defined. Okay, there are, you cannot define a method that gets executed or invoked anywhere in the absolute class. Absolute class is just raw variable definition and empty method definitions, that's all it is. So so that's one class, right, but this is how it is. So if you want to define a class in a parent class, define a variable in a parent class, so whose variable you want to call into some, call somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want the 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 information in it to be destroyed. You don't want, so that's where the scoping comes into. So I believe the whole the deconstructor definition that is created, it's because of, I believe, that reason, that to maintain the um, the scope, so that
Yeah.
when you call something somewhere, then you are able to actually move the data around from the memory, rather than, it's wiped from the memory, you are making call and it's all empty. So that's, I think that's all. So what you're saying, it's all right, volume, nice shot.
I'm not sure I get what you mean.
Huh?
I'm
uh,
not sure I get what you mean.
Mainly, so the
It's about
scope
cleanup, isn't
word,
it?
so the in the deconstructor, the scope
Yeah.
word that is added is
Yeah.
basically the whole idea of scope of everything, basically scope of any variable that's defined, anything that is defined in your parent classes or any other class that's out there that you want to use, right? So that's the whole
Yeah.
point, that in deconstructor the scope is used, so that, oh, I thought you were gonna go on the back
Oh,
wall.
sorry.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing about it.
What's local stuff in a scope is once you leave a scope, all the stuff that was defined just in that scope should die,
Die, exactly. Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that's what the deconstructor is supposed to do,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
In Java, they don't have deconstructors then, right? But they do have finalizers or something. Because like, how
Finalize
do
is
you
there. Yes.
do?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It is there. It's there.
Same here, right? Just the difference is that the finalizer, it doesn't get called when it goes out of scope, but it gets called when it gets deallocated from the heap, right, during
Mm-hmm.
garbage collection.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So C# has finalizers too.
Yes.
But the issue with those is if you're doing anything with resource acquisition,
Mm-hmm.
you can't use them, right? Like for example, a file stream. If you open a file stream, you have to make sure you close it, because otherwise, if you open that file stream again, it might still be opened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the finalizer didn't run yet. And that's what a deconstructor should be doing, except they don't have a deconstructor in Java or in C#. So we have a bunch of like these open close methods. You know what I mean? They come in pairs.
Right. Right. Yes.
File that
Yes.
open, file that close.
Yes. Yes.
Free, so on and so forth. And basically, anytime you have those pairs, then really what that should be is just an object that has a constructor that's equivalent to open, right? And then a deconstructor, which is equivalent to close. And that way you can't forget to do those things.
Right. Exactly.
Because the object literally doesn't exist and you can't possibly access it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah, that's why I think Beef would be such an excellent language. It's all the nice things about Java and C#, but also gets rid of all these stupid pairs of methods that we end up having everywhere. And also it's just going to be a little more performant because of the no GC.
Right. I mean, I have always been a fan of what you call it, the manual memory management.
Yeah.
I think after this loss, we will be in diamond. At least I will be in diamond.
I don't know. I think there's so many advantages to it.
Right.
So also it makes you think a little bit more about how you're doing things.
Right.
Cause like, how was it? Okay, people have the impression that C++ is fast and C# and Java are slow, right? And yes, that's sort of true, but they're not significantly slower. I think when you do like really optimize C# code, it only runs like 10% slower, if that, than C++.
Right.
Versus like the 10, 20 times slower people claim. Right?
Right.
Yeah, the reason though is because it's so easy to write shitty C# code. Right? Because it does all the memory management for you.
Right.
So if you make some allocations, you won't notice and you won't care. Right? Because it will clean it up for you. Whereas with unmanaged languages, then actually every allocation you have to make sure you deallocate, so you will care, and you'll do a little bit more work to avoid that sort of thing.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah. It's I think I want to now get into learning something new, a different programming language. Yeah, something that's not Java.
Yeah.
My problem with any programming language is right now that I have to have a use for it. And
yeah, that's the thing. It's really hard to learn a language if you don't have a reason to.
Exactly. And I have to have if once you get into corporate America, then what happens is that for
You're just
you,
going to use the same few most popular languages because that's what everybody uses.
right, it's just you have to
You know, I've had actually similar problem with engines.
Uh-huh.
I know Unity,
Uh-huh.
and I know a bit of Godot and a very small amount of Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to learn Unreal,
Mm-hmm.
but the projects that I want to get done right now are all small-ish, and they'll do just fine in Unity. Like, it'll be faster and easier, and honestly just better to build in Unity
Mm-hmm.
than Unreal.
Right.
So it's hard to come up with a reason to learn Unreal right now, even though, like, professionally, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly the thing. Like, I mean, see, if I have to, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I would learn Unreal in a heartbeat simply because I play those games,
Mhm.
right? But once again, for me, just to learn it because,
Because now you know. Yeah, you gotta have something to make with it.
right? For me, I mean, after working in corporate America for all these years, for me, it's a I associate a commercial value to it, whatever I do.
Yeah.
So, so like for example, I'm streaming here, right? And if I realize that yeah, I'm not gonna make any money out of it, then probably I won't even stream.
Yeah.
And if I'm not making any money, okay,
Right.
all right, I will put it in the corner. So, I mean, not all the cases, but if, what you see what I'm saying,
Other
right?
things,
Like,
yeah. Now,
yeah,
unless it's something that's like really your favorite thing to do.
yeah. Unless it's something favorite thing to exactly.
Well, I'm done. Hmm.
Ah,
Yeah, it's possible.
in fact, I thought about like at one point I thought about learning Unreal Engine,
Mhm.
but to make the certain certain objects that are game objects, basically like some small things, cosmetic stuff. But it's just I mean, I installed the Unreal Engine and everything, started to look into it, but then I realized that it's just or let's just say that with so many things I was doing, it just did not pan out.
Yeah.
These things are like you have to have a like what you call it, a career in it, or
Yeah, especially like Unreal and stuff, because
yeah,
that engine is one of the hardest engines to learn, I've heard.
right. It's not something like you just go and you put your time
Yeah.
into it and then you're not.
No, you have to put in a lot of time before you can get results.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I'm a college student or something, then yeah, I understand. But uh, but other than that, it's just hard to make time for those things. I mean, as it is, like if I have to do, I can't make time for my own podcast or something because that even that also requires work. Yeah. It's I'm just noticing. I just started to notice the game, and
You got really losing this one?
yeah, I'm realizing that we have been we have been losing quite a lot against all these garbage flavor thing. Well, let me get my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm still not. I'm still in champ, so if we win couple of games, maybe I'll still remain in champ. Yeah, it's just so talking about something else and then playing the game was a little bit hard. You there, Martin?
Yep.
Okay.
We got this. Nice. There we go. Maybe. Uh, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing that often actually,
Okay. All right. That's cool.
because I gotta work on some stuff.
I got you.
Yeah, so here's something weird I'm doing.
Okay. What is it?
Okay, so Nine is basically modeled as a tree of scenes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then each scene has a list of systems associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
And these systems and everything, basically, they primarily communicate through messaging system. There we go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a message for when we want to update the game. There's a message for render frames. There's a message
Yes.
for render
Yes.
the camera, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Right. Anyway, the actual events that maintain a list of all the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Those are defined by the systems. Okay, so I've got a rendering system, and it's got a bunch of events in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had an issue where I needed to basically automatically add all the listeners. to these events.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do it with reflection, right? But it's sort of slow.
Mm-hmm.
And you just write code to manually add them to the list.
Mm-hmm.
That's really annoying because,
Mm-hmm.
well, every single listener you gotta add potentially 15, 20 different.
Right, right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of boilerplate.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out a really stupid thing
Mm-hmm.
with
Got one more?
generics because,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's go one more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've got an interface called iMessage Listener, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
it's just got a method in it that gets called whenever it receives a message.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's a generic interface where the type parameter is just the type of message we want to listen for.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of writing a bunch of boilerplate code to find all the listeners and add them, I will run little class inside that generic that just finds all the systems of that type
Mm-hmm.
and adds them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so stupid because it basically defines a whole new, like if I implement a listener of type A and then a listener of type B, it basically just redefines two different classes then automatically, right? A listener of type A dot register
Okay.
and listener of type B dot register.
Okay.
And it does all the heavy lifting for me.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. It's just so much more convenient that way. Because until then, I had been basically doing manual searches.
Uh-huh.
Like for example, the render system would at startup before it actually does anything, just find all the listeners and add them, right?
Right.
But even that was getting annoying. Because like everything is done through messages, so I've got
Right.
hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you need message brokers to you use the message brokers to send the messages and manage the messages and events, and all you do is after that is write a code around it to that. I'm gonna send it.
Right. And you basically have like, for example, just the engine or the
Yes,
scene have
exactly.
handle all of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I consider doing it that way. But
Your life will become so easier. After that, all you have to do is this. You will have to only worry about the hardcore code rather than the messages, random messages, or
yeah,
how.
I wanted to do it that way. The only reason I didn't
Mm-hmm.
was because some of the messages, a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
they don't just get sent to the systems that are attached to a scene. Like if I send a message A through the scene, then yeah, it's gonna get sent to all the systems that implement listener of A. But it's also gonna get sent to a handful of static listeners.
Not really. Actually, then I think you are not using the right tool for the job. So even in messaging also there is thing called push pull method, then push method. So what you want to do is push method. In push technology, what happens is that you have the option to push the message wherever you want it to go.
Yeah.
And
how would you interface that with if the message and the distribution was handled just by like the scene or the engine?
You will have
you could do it with flags, but then you get so many flags, it would be a mess.
you will have to write an integration for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you have like an interface to.
Yeah, you will have to write an integration for it.
And then you just have one interface for all the.
Yes. Once you write that integration.
Listeners and then some custom ones for the special ones.
Yeah.
Right. That's sort of what I'm doing.
I
I'm
think
just
that
doing it through this class within a class then.
yes, everybody, that's exactly how everyone
Yeah.
does. Reality is this.
Yeah.
Everybody does the same thing. It's just that
It's just like the details end up being a little different.
yes, people tend to not know it until it's too late.
Until they've already.
Yeah. Pretty much everybody. That's exactly what they do. It's like I was talking to one guy a long time ago, and he was telling me about his game development and how his. I gave him the solution. I gave him a full-fledged solution of how you wanna do this thing. All right. Now that day he rejected my idea. Okay, he rejected it. He flat out rejected it. Oh no, I don't think this is gonna work. That gonna work. And a week later, he comes and he's just repeating the same. Man, I figured something out new. I was like,
No,
what?
it's not. It's just like, wow.
So it was just my idea. It was my idea.
Yeah.
He was using my idea, and
just didn't necessarily realize it.
and and he has no clue that he was using my idea. So I told him that this is exactly what my idea. This is what I told you. So he's denying it actually. Like, no, you did not tell me that. This that. I was like, well, either you're too dumb to understand it,
Yeah.
or you're trying to hide it to avoid giving me credit for what I told you. But I never talked to him after that because I realized that people, some people think like that, you know. So I was like, eh. But yeah, but if everything, whenever message is involved,
Yeah. No, you're right.
it's you will have to have a message broker behind the scenes, and then you need an integration. So whatever you are writing right now is an integration. Eventually that integration is going to, sometimes what happens is that these engines that are there, right, like for example Unreal Engine or something else, these engines have a small message broker built in. So for example, Redis is open source, right? So you can take Redis and write something and integrate it in Unreal Engine, or maybe Unreal Engine has it already. But what's gonna happen is that Redis is garbage. He was using Redis at first, all right? He started to use Redis at first, but Redis just was not doing what he wanted it to do. Yeah. So I had to give him like, and I'm not even making this up. I had to give him like an hour of lecture as in the full-fledged crash course on messaging, as to how messaging works and how do you really handle the events, and how do you actually set up the watches, how do you manage the memory and all that thing, how each and every message gets moved around, all those things. So what you're doing is that probably you're writing an integration. Only the difference is here is that you're writing an integration to integrate it with the inbuilt messaging engine of whatever gaming engine you're using. That's what you're doing right now. But you can do this even more efficiently with some external message broker and get you what you want to do. So that's what it comes down to eventually.
Can you quickly define, just describe what a message broker would be structured as? I'm not entirely sure.
Bro, I don't know how do I define it. Yeah, it's not something. So let me give you a very simple thing. Okay, so there's
like basic model or something.
Basic model is this. So for example, you were saying that it can go into other things and this and that. So, for example, let's say Kafka is there. Kafka is a PubSub engine. It's a messaging engine. It acts as a streaming and message broker both.
Okay.
So streaming meaning that when data
Yeah, that's in a queue and then
you not queue. The moment you put it in queue, it's not streaming. Actually, data gets dynamically manipulated in the streaming. That's the fundamental idea of it.
yeah, okay.
The data gets dynamically manipulated. Now, how data moves around? So data resides in a topic. You create a topic, you push the data in it, and then you have a consumer. Consumer basically, you have to have a consumer. The consumer basically will consume the data from that topic. That's the very simple way to put it. Okay. Now there are securities, there are other things in it that are built that come with the tool. Okay? Now, so at the end of it all, you install, you set it up. At the end of it all, you have to write a producer as in producer that will produce the data and send the data to the topic.
Okay.
And then you have to write a consumer that will consume the data from that topic. So topic is something that, so with the data in the topic resides for the retention period. For example, in case of Kafka, the retention period is a week. Now you can change that whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
But under normal circumstances, data is immediately available. Data, it's a zero copy transfer. So after the first transaction, meaning that you produce the data, the consumer consumes the data.
Yeah.
When this whole thing happens, that's when you will see that that's when data gets actually dumped into then on the disk, that is on the system. Otherwise, you don't even need a disk to move the data around.
Real quick, if it's zero copy transfer, then can't that cause issues with delays? Where you produce and then you have to basically wait until
No, so the beauty of zero copy transfer is that there is no delay because of zero copy transfer, because data is not being written on the disk first and then it's being copied somewhere else or consumed. Data goes into your swap memory, and from the memory it is get picked up by the consumer, and that's it. Consumer never looks for the data on the disk. Consumer always looks for the data in the swap.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Now,
what happens if you're producing? Like, what happens if you produce like 3 sets of data, and in the process your consumer is just delayed for some reason?
that's called consumer lag. But consumer and producer are decoupled totally. Alright? Meaning that what producer does has no bearing on consumer, and what consumer does has no bearing on producer. So let's say you produce data, right? And if consumer is not available to consume, then controller will write the data on the disk. As soon as consumer is available, controller will direct the consumer to pick up that data that is sitting on the disk and process it. And once that gets processed, then the new data producer will, until that point, producer will keep writing data on the disk. Now, how consumer realizes all these things, it's called offsets basically, right? So whatever last offset consumer processes, and let's say offset number 2, after offset 2, consumer is delayed, there is a lag. So offset 3 onwards, whatever is there is sitting on the disk. Now so when consumer comes back, then consumer is gonna go look for what? Offset 3. And offset 3 is gonna look for on the disk 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say 3, 4. Until that point, only.
So then it is a queue, then, isn't it?
Huh?
Like, it's a bit of a weird... So then it is a queue, isn't it? Like, I mean, it won't be a queue if there is no lag, but if there is, then it becomes a queue.
So queue concept is there, but queue concept is this is.
I get that, but because it's working through file system.
At that point, it is working through file system, but but queue is there, but there is a queue.
Yeah.
It's the queue is called TCP buffer, right?
Yeah.
So so
Right,
now if you
yeah.
ask me what if producer has a issue with,
So I'm picturing this all running on one machine because that's what my messaging system is for. It's just for looking at applications.
mm-hmm.
So
But
in my opinion, I would have to make a queue if I did that.
all these queues are already there in the tool, in the message broker. Yeah, all this is there.
You can just choose a queue then.
Yeah, you don't even have to worry about. You don't even choose the queue. All that Kafka does that automatically for you. You won't even have to do any of it. None of it you will have to worry about.
Yeah, real quick, is Kafka designed for inter-system, inter-process, or within a single process sort of messaging? Or is it all of that?
It's all of it. Kafka is used to transfer messages from, let's say, US to India or Canada to India, like that.
Right.
Amazon, for example, and Amazon uses a modified version of Kafka. It's called Kinesis.
Yeah.
And the entire Amazon's e-business, right? The entire Amazon's e-business runs off of Kinesis messaging. That's what. That's how powerful the messaging engines are. Netflix, for example, Netflix uses Kafka. Entire Netflix streaming that you see, it heavily depends on Kafka.
Yeah.
Yes. And main thing is that once you understand the beauty of any of these messaging engines, I think your game development will become so easy that you will thank me later. You'll be like, what the wow. And most of these developers who try to develop stuff, they normally don't look into all this. They don't look into other options. They don't. I think lots of them don't have the big picture, as in like understanding of the big picture as to what exactly what something can do. So yes, and I have seen this thing over the years, that developers only know. Let's say Java developer is there. Java developer only knows how to write code in Java. That's all they do, and if you ask them anything else, they have no clue. They're like, oh, what? I don't know. What is this? What's that? Blah, blah, blah. They have no clue. And the same thing. It's you have to educate them about the whole entire thing. Like, as to, hey, no, this is how this works. This is how it should be. And but if they understood, they really knew these things properly, then I think the development will become a lot easier. I have not found a single developer who has understood the concept and had difficulty in doing things after that. They do not. Simply because like when they are programming, all people are thinking about is what? Calling this package, calling this library, this, that, and that's it. Yeah, getting the desired result and they're good to go. That's the whole point of it. But I think it's a lot more than just that. Yeah, it's not that easy concept, but it's once you understand. For example, there are lots of questions like you were asking those questions, but there are lots of other questions to be asked. Like for example, you were saying, what if consumer fails? Then how? I'm saying, what if producer fails? Then what?
Right, and the consumer is just
not. You don't even have to worry about consumer. Then message is not going in Kafka. Then how that thing gets handled, right? Now that's a question. That's where the TCP buffer or TCP queue comes into picture, right? That messages are messages sit in the queue um, until the producer is available to take care of the business. And but then that's a whole different thing. I mean, I will have to get into the whole entire producer API and consumer API to explain you all that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've heard this stuff before. These type of concepts. I just know why. It didn't occur to me that I should be a part of here. But you're right, I should be. Like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like that's the understanding of it. It all depends on like the understanding. In fact, even in my profession, I mean, I have just known people who run their mouth a lot, and they will know few things little bit here and there, little bit things as in like just once they produce couple of messages into a topic, they think that they know it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more at play than what people.
Do you ever watch Doctor Who?
Doctor Who?
Yeah, I look into this stuff too. Like you said, it's a big topic. So. Have you? This is funny.
Doctor Who? No, bro. No.
Okay, well, I'll send you a real quick clip, okay? It's 2 seconds, and it's still funny.
Okay.
This is, he's trying to explain how time works within Doctor Who. It's the time travel, right?
Okay.
But it always reminds me of how multi-threading works.
Oh, so he's trying to explain how multi-threading works?
No, he's trying to explain how time works. The stuff I show, right? But I like to pretend he's explaining how multi-threading.
I see. Actually, it's sometimes that's exactly how I think too. You're right. It's just like, okay, people trying to look into quantum and all the quantum mechanics, quantum physics and everything, but somehow it looks like eventually that it's all programming. It's funny how, but I still think that as far as I think that people normally tend to visualize things based on what they know, or understand something based on what they know. And considering this is why it's most of the work is done. If you look at it, then it's all secondary work. There's very rarely a primary work happening. Primary work as in like what Einstein did. If you look at Einstein's work, then there is no...
It's like creativity. There's no such thing as creativity. It's just work off of somebody else.
Exactly. And people would love to be called creative and this and that. But in reality...
There you go.
Yeah, it's... primary work at least is just not there. Primary work is just not there. Primary work.
I'd love to keep talking, but I gotta go.
Alright, buddy. Alright, you take care. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's for the typical nothing.
Man, no problem.
You're right, and it's obvious how to think about it, but.
I mean, if you just put a little bit of your mind into it, I think it will be fine. It makes your life easier.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna fix it right now because what I have works, and it's basically automated, so the interface that I'm working with shouldn't take at the very surface of this.
Right. But I would say that actually this is when you should try it.
Oh no, I
because
want to try it. Yeah.
yeah,
I
this
just
is.
want because I want to do graphics in the
Mm-hmm.
future. And so if I break what I have, then
Yeah, I
I have
see
to
what
fix
you
it before I can move on. You know.
mean. Right.
And the graphics there won't be that many messages.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, half a dozen.
Right.
Anyway, talk to you later.
All right, buddy.
See you.
All right. Take care.
Sector Bravo is now under hostile control.
Okay.
Got to start securing sectors. Enemy has majority control. Alpha 1 under attack by hostiles.
अभी मैं इसका इलाज करता हूँ साला मेरे से पंगा ले रहा है बेटा अभी तेरे को बताता हूँ रुक जा I'm coming for you motherfucker
We control more sectors than the enemy, but this
You're
battle
dead.
is far from over.
आ जाओ चलो let's see what you got
One of our objectives is under attack.
all right let's go buddy you're going to die oh shit never mind it's me well
Occupied sector
shit
Charlie.
all right okay this chopper needs to go I'm gonna have to kill it needs to go reload
Let's see them. We have majority control of the sector.
hmm
Marking enemy tank east.
revive me guys come on
Invite you.
Smithy what's up buddy
Hello, my friend.
how you doing
How you doing? I'm doing good.
yeah
I'm playing some Rocket League. What are you doing?
I'm in Battlefield. I'm playing some Battlefield though.
Disgusting. Would you not consider playing Rocket League?
I was in Rocket League actually.
Damn.
Yeah, I was in Rocket League and it's I just left
Right.
from there.
Damn. So I can't tempt you.
No, you cannot tempt me.
Not even with a British accent. Like, come
No, you cannot. Definitely not with British accent.
Definitely with a British accent. Like, come on. You know, that's how we did it to you guys originally. We were like,
Yeah, right.
you know, it would be a good
The
idea. I
old
think it would be
old
a good
hostility.
idea. It would be a good idea. And you know what your ancestors said? They were like, yeah. You know what? I think that's a good idea. And that's how it happened. So,
Yeah.
that was it. Anyway. Glad I had to give you a little giggle.
I know. Yeah, it's funny. It's just funny, but yeah. No, it's no. There is no hostility or anything. People just love each other, and
Our troops
We
have
all love
secured
each
more
other, the
sectors
human
than the
race.
hostiles.
Yep, we're all just so lovely and just
yeah, it's how the politics works, right? Like
Our
they
reserves
create
are
these
down 50%.
bullshit so to divide people, so that people are divided,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they can get together and play Battlefield or Rocket League together. If we all start to play Rocket League and Battlefield together, then their agendas won't work, right?
yeah.
So,
I
right?
mean, I'm gonna be honest. If we just cut the shit and just became one planetary mass, so you know how at some point there's like all the continents are moving around. There's going to become a supercontinent again
It's possible. Yes, I cannot deny that thing. Yes.
in millions of years. It's inevitable.
Yes. Yes. Eventually, yes.
If we're still here, eventually we will have to become one planetary mass.
Right. Right.
If we haven't already expanded.
Right.
because of
Exactly.
losing ourselves.
Exactly.
Like, we might have to form under one government, which would be kind of cool. I imagine
This
what's going to happen.
and that's the whole thing, that even then also the only thing is that the whole creating the division is gonna change. Like the techniques to really divide people will change, but the politicians will eventually, they're gonna try to still divide people.
Our troops are
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine when we spread to different planets and then different planetary governments start to form, and
Mm-hmm.
start to split that way. And then
Right.
imagine when, like, billions of different people on billions of different planets are evolving
Right.
differently. We'll get different species of human.
Mm-hmm.
More racism.
Exactly. And
I bet.
it's like lots of people say that, oh, one world government is not gonna happen, this that, but actually this, it's not a very far-fetched concept.
just lost Sector Charlie to the hostiles.
And the way people want it to be or making it to be, and one world government, I think that the way the current situation is, the global economic situation and the global political situation,
They're attacking one of our
I think it will happen sooner than we know. It will happen way sooner than we know.
What, the apocalypse?
No, the one world government thing. Because if you look at it, then
Do you elaborate?
so
Go on.
so for example, globalization has failed. Okay, so let me give you an example. So let me explain a little bit. So for example, World War One was there. When World War One ended, then the monarchy pretty much ended with it. So with each and every world or war, and I'm not saying that necessarily there has to be a World War Three, but a world order changes. All right, and what is world order? World order changes because the current system, the way everywhere the governance is working, right? The governance is, world order is nothing but governance. So so World War One ended, then monarchy ended, except for few exceptions. But by the end of World War Two, it was totally gone, right? Then came after World War II, the whole UN thing started, right? And what is UN? The UN thing? UN thing is nothing but another world order, meaning that hey, these are the protocols you follow, you're fine. Uh, if not, then you will have to deal with the punishment, so-called, whatever it could be. And now, so after the after the World War II, countries were pretty weak at the other countries, except for few Western countries. In fact, not even Western countries. In fact, I would say that after, other than America, there was not a single country that was very well capable of handling things. They were just not in, financially, they were not well off. Doesn't matter what country it is. So they followed this whole world order thing. Yeah, let's go. It will work for us. The blah blah. Everybody complied, right? That was the whole idea. Everybody complied during that.
America became king of the world.
Yeah, exactly. But that world order also changed. When it changed in 1971, uh, when Nixon removed the dollar backing of gold, and that world order changed, and it became petrodollar world order. Now, after the petrodollar world order started, that was the implementation of economic world order, meaning that let's do something economically. So petrodollar was introduced in the mix, and when the petrodollar was introduced, so that means that what was introduced in the economic world order was introduced, that okay, we are not going to get into the war, but we will start doing what is called economic damage. That's why the whole sanction concept came, right? The weaponization of dollar started, right? Weaponization as in when you apply sanctions on different countries for whatever bullshit reasons, then you're hurting it. But and if you look at it, anybody who understands the this concept will tell you that this whole thing, the petrodollar problem with petrodollar is that it requires other countries to consume it. Now, if countries are not there to consume it, then petrodollar is basically affected negatively. Hence, sanctions and other hence recession and inflation. All these problems start. Like after Russia-Ukraine war, the whole problem started, right? Recession and all these things, inflation and everything started. Why? Because see, with small economies, it's all good. With small economies, when you apply sanctions on a small economy, it all works out. Why? Because those economies do not cycle or recycle the dollar that much. But a bigger economy like Russia, when you apply sanctions on it, especially a sanction of the kind where nothing can be moved around, then you are basically saying that whatever bullshit dollar was printed, right? Whatever dollar was printed, that dollar cannot be consumed anywhere. Now, economics 101, anybody who knows economics well enough will tell you that if a currency cannot be cycled in the market, that means that there is a problem that's gonna cause economic problems, and that's exactly what happened. So technically, these sanctions didn't help the country. It only helped the it only helped Russia. It did not help anybody else. Why? Because sanctions were applied. Russia, and world has been wanting to get out of dollar for quite some time now. So since world has been wanting to get away from dollar for quite some time, so they they've been working on de-dollarization. And what de-dollarization will lead to is leading to de-dollarization is leading to country that really will not process anything in dollar. Now, if they are not going to process anything in dollar, what's going to happen? That global economy will suffer. Why? Because dollar is the reserve currency right now, at least, whether people like it or they don't like it. And this whole thing has already changed the course of our economy and our fundamental structure of our governance. And you want to really know more about it, then you'll have to um, uh, read about this thing. Like, just you will have to read, like, look at the lecture that gave the speech that Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, gave into John Hopkins. He accepted in that thing that the new world order is coming and old world order is not effective anymore, because there are lots of alternate economies that are already coming up and coming, and that are going to definitely, I mean, any country that is economically powerful is going to, right? Why would a country that is economically and militarily powerful listen to some bullshit, right? And considering that back in the day after World War II, everybody was weak, so countries were forced to listen to those things. But now nobody is obligated to listen to all that. So, hence the change. So, this is what it is in nutshell. And it's not a conspiracy theory as much as it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean,
No.
there's also like the reason. Sorry, to go back to the point about the sanctions not meaning much in terms of Russia, is that they didn't really hurt Putin either, because he's worth what, like 200 billion.
That is I think bullshit, and I think that it's all from the day one. Actually, from the day one, Putin has taken over. What's happening is that only thing that I'm hearing is that somehow Putin is dead somewhere. Putin has cancer. Putin has heart problem. This, that, all this has propaganda has been spread. Okay, somehow right, and somehow Putin's net worth is 200 some billion dollars, but somehow Hunter Biden gets gets involved into what? Somehow Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, gets involved into the corruption, and Joe Biden himself gets into. I mean, my point being that I think it's all horseshit. Okay, it's all horseshit that is being fed, and this is the kind of propaganda that is being created by the deep state, so that you believe what they are telling you.
Okay, no, Aqua, I have a sort of a counter proposition to that. My mother is from Kazakhstan, from inside the Soviet Union. I have family currently living in Kazakhstan and some in Russia. So I know from the inside, and I've seen that Putin has stolen, I would estimate billions from his people. It is a dictatorship. It is supposed to be communism, but it is a corrupt.
Putin. See, I'm not saying that Putin is not corrupt or Putin is not whatnot, right? I'm not saying any of that. Now, to counter your argument, Kazakhstan is not part of USSR anymore. So yes,
No, well, not anymore, but it's still.
it's
They,
not
they
part
still
of
mostly-
USSR for a reason. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Kazakhstan. You think Kazakhstan itself is a very good country or something? Kazakhstan,
No,
I
it's
think,
not. Of course
I
it's
think
not.
it falls into the list of those countries that are on top when it comes to money laundering. Kazakhstan is one of those countries that top the list when it comes to money laundering.
But like,
But
the Russians still somewhat govern Kazakhstan, whether that's mainstream knowledge or not. There is still some governance between Russia and Kazakhstan, and they still see what's going on the inside.
see, yes, exactly, and of course, Ukraine is a perfect example of that, right? Otherwise, why would Russians care about Ukraine joining NATO or anything else? They are they. Why? I mean, Russia-Ukraine war is happening because of what you're just saying. What you're just saying is the reason for Russia-Ukraine war. That Ukraine was being managed by Russians, and I'll tell you why. So the reasoning that is there for Russia-Ukraine war is that is being fed by the mainstream media. It's a horseshit. So the reason behind it is that since the day
Our strategy is
Ukraine was formed,
hold more sectors than the enemy.
so every time it started by a pro-Russian government actually, okay, and pro-Russian government joined, and it completed its couple of terms, but I think some people in the West they started to get uncomfortable with it. So the second government, when the next government came, so the dude basically after first term, okay, after first term, he just simply decides that okay, no, I'm not gonna be the president anymore. I'm not gonna lead the country anymore, and he disappears. He just leaves, okay, and somebody else becomes the president, and that was a pro-West president. And every time there has been a pro-Russian president in Ukraine, okay, that government has been toppled by some sort of bullshit revolution, okay, and that bullshit revolution could be, and it could be orange revolution, it could be Ukrainian revolution, it could be anything, but that government has been somehow toppled, okay, just so that a anti-Russian or the pro-West government is there. That's exactly what happened in Ukraine, okay. Now, when Zelensky joined, then Zelensky in the beginning couldn't decide what exactly he should do. And so he stayed pro Russia for some time. And in the meantime, what was happening is that Deep State was working to for another revolution. And the revolution, to do that thing, they need neo-Nazis over there. Okay, and this neo-Nazi news came way before uh, this war. And when the deep state was creating neo-Nazis so that they can go and uh, create and do start another revolution, and a pro-West government can be formed. So when Zelensky realized that this is happening, okay, when Zelensky realized that this is happening, so Zelensky said that okay, he wants to join NATO. Zelensky's take was that he's not gonna go pro-West unless there is some sort of security for him and the country as such. And when I say security, meaning that militarily. That's why he wanted to join NATO, because he realized that let's say he does that, and so if let's say if there is no military security, then what Russians are going to do? Russians are going to simply end him. They will kill him or do whatever, and eventually his government will be gone, and then there will be a pro-Russian dude who will just sit there, right? That's exactly what Zelensky had, and his argument is perfectly fine. So that's why Zelensky wanted to join NATO. Now, when Zelensky wanted to join NATO, uh, all of a sudden, then what NATO did is NATO basically bullshitted him, and they did not really uh,
American troops are showing
uh,
signs of attrition.
they did not
Update now.
just they were, I mean, whatever it is, but NATO is also afraid of Russia, right? Russia is one legitimate country in this world, okay, that can stay aloof from the whole entire world and still survive without any problem. Russia is that country, okay? So no matter what people say, but I can tell you this with a guarantee that that's one. Russians are a truly what you call it, truly self-reliant country. All right. So underestimating Russians in any way will be a foolishness. So so anyways, so that's what the Ukraine's problem was. Zelensky wanted to be part. Zelensky said that okay, I'm gonna go pro-West only if I have these things under certain conditions. So at first they agreed, but when things started to go a little bit south, then everybody backed off because nobody wants a world war. So since nobody wants a world war, so they backed off. So now Zelensky's situation was what? The fuck am I supposed to do? And it's and I'm sorry, I'm not explaining right now very much because I'm playing a game as well. But but what happened after that is uh, the war started. Now, if you look at the whole neo-Nazi thing, if you can go and these things are all in the media. You just have to connect the dots. They're all in the media. They all exist in the media, and about the neo-Nazi and all, and also you might have heard the news that there have been some American soldiers or something that were found helping Ukrainians and this and that, right? You might have heard those.
I mean, I know that British SAS veterans have been over there helping them.
Yeah, but what are they doing over there? How?
They're
So
helping them. They're training them.
exactly the point that all that is all that was horseshit that was created. Why? Because deep state was working over there, intelligence was already there, and they created this whole thing that we are helping and this and that because they wanted to make sure that if, let's say, if one of their operatives get caught, intelligence operative gets caught, then they can say that, oh, it was just our retired veteran, we were helping and that's what they caught. So the whole the whole deep state theory can be easily nullified. That's what it was, and that's what it is. Okay. And there is no amount of training, okay, that there is no amount of training that the way they are saying that the SAS is helping and this and that, but actually there is no amount of training that will help them win the war as such. So
It would help them survive tenfold.
bro, what survival you're talking about? The whole more than half of the country is bombed to shit. What survival are we talking about here? Literally, I mean, let's be practical. I mean, not the, let's not think of it in terms of political. Let's look into the reality. All right, billions and billions of dollars Zelensky has taken from Americans. Why do you think that Americans or anybody for that matter are so hell-bent on helping Ukraine? Why would they do that? They're doing it because that was the precondition, right? The precondition for Zelensky was that, hey, if you cannot help me or save me from Russians from Russians, then I will not join. I mean, I'm better off this way, a neutral party. So, but what happened is that they were first given this whole thing that, okay, yeah, we will help you, this, that. But at the end of the day, what happened? They did not, right? We both know that. So all they're doing is financially helping. Nobody wants a direct military conflict at this point, because believe me, nothing will be left to discuss after that. There will be nothing left to discuss. Russian nuclear submarines are already patrolling the oceans at this point. I'm not even
Yeah.
bullshitting you. So what actually, so and now here's the question. Here, ask yourself this question, that when, who benefits from these wars? Every time there is a war that happens, who benefits from these wars? You think that uh, I'll let you think about it.
Usually the victors.
Not really. Victors, what victors gain is, that was the old time thing. All right, that was old time thing. But who in the victors really gains? In
Oh,
fact,
it's usually the people who have been on the sidelines, to be honest.
so I will tell you precisely who actually wins. Okay, it's the deep state that wins. Now I will explain this to you in a different way. Uh, like for example, so this whole war, what do you think? There is one asset, okay, one asset whose prices just drop like crazy during the war. Do you know what that asset is?
No.
That asset is real estate. Real estate is one thing, its prices drop like crazy. You notice that in the war they are sold like at the prices of a bread and butter. That's about it. That's how much prices drop. Now imagine this, okay? Imagine you are part of a deep state. Doesn't matter which deep state. It could be CIA, it could be FSB, it could be KGB, it could be raw, anything. And then there are big companies, right? You, what do? Because of the war, you go and real estate prices drop. Whole bunch of shell companies are created, and these shell companies, they go and buy that real estate at a cheaper price. Okay, they go and buy that real estate at a cheaper price, like a price. I mean, I don't even know how much price I should say. Like just dirt cheap, and they go buy all that. And guess what? War will end sooner or later. It happens. Okay, war ends sooner or later, no matter what. War will end sooner or later. Everybody knows this. Now, since war will end sooner or later, so what happens? These shell companies, what they do is they use those real estate to develop it, and they develop it, and guess what? They bought something for $1,000. Now they are developing it, and then they're gonna make billions off of it. Look at the profit margin. And every time there is a war, okay, somewhere somebody in some deep state becomes rich. Whether it was Afghan war, whether it was Iraq war, whether it was World War One, whether it was World War Two, whatever, somewhere somebody in the deep state becomes rich. That's their retirement package. And same thing will happen with the Russia-Ukraine war too. After the Russia-Ukraine war, you will see there will be some new billionaires showing up on the scene. There are lots of questions you have to ask. I mean, some rock solid questions like why all of a sudden Russia and US are enemies all of a sudden. Why is that? Well, they fought World War One together, they fought World War Two together, and they won both wars together. Then how?
Somewhat. They've always been kind of enemies. They've never had exactly love.
Actually, no. I mean, see. In fact, during the World War II, I mean, Americans supplied hardware to Russians to fight the Hitler.
Well, yeah, because they're working together at that point.
Yeah,
Only at those specific
and
points when it was necessary.
so what happened then? Then all of a sudden they are enemies.
The enemy of my enemy is not always my friend. You know what I mean? Like, enemy of my, you know.
And see, that's what I'm saying. Like these are the things. Those are the kind. That's not the kind of answer you should look for if you really want to understand this thing. If you want to go beyond the whole conspiracy theory mindset, And you will have to ask yourself these hard-hitting questions, try to find the answers. What happened is, actually, I will give you a short answer to that question, is the deal that was there between US and USSR in those days was that, hey, uh, we will s- we will uh, divide the gold among each other. We will divide the gold that we loot from these things, and we will simply uh, share it with each other, equal sharing and all that. But what happened is that after World War II, uh, Americans didn't share shit. they kept all the gold with themselves. Okay, why you think that the Americans have such a big ass gold reserve? It's because of this. So same thing when they attacked Libya. What do you think happened with Libya? Libya had shitload of gold. They attacked Libya. They killed Gaddafi. Was gone.
Bravo 1 is now
I mean, Gaddafi is gone. They took the Gaddafi's gold. They took Libyan gold that was there. They took all that. Right now why all of a sudden again now China is becoming enemy and Russians are becoming, why is that? Because Russians and Chinese are becoming enemies because they are stopping uh the the whole bullshit that goes on in Africa. Okay, the Africans are, even they are modern day slaves, most countries used to be, at least. Now after Russians and Chinese bonding together, so what they have done is that they have stopped that. Otherwise, Uganda would have been next. Believe me on this. Uganda would have been next. Why? Because Uganda has $12 trillion worth of gold mines. We have $12 trillion worth of gold mines. That's what Uganda has. Now imagine who wouldn't want to take that gold. Because every time you take the gold, now let's say if petrodollar is not there, then and somehow you have to back it with gold, then at least you have that much gold with you, right?
has secured Alpha Sector.
That provides the security for dollar. And that's why I explained you the whole entire petrodollar world order. You'll have to, I mean, do some more research. You will you will find it behind the closed door, in the darkness. Okay, in the darkness there are no enemies. Okay, there are no enemies, only common man, people like you and me. We are fed the bullshit so that we think that we are each other's enemy. Okay, in fact, in a military conflict, in fact, the generals of those two enemy hostile armies, they in fact they are even in touch with each other constantly. Okay, they are in constantly in touch with each other, and they're like, hey man, this is this this dude is planning to attack you guys. What do you figure this thing out, this that. They tell each other about these conflicts already. Okay, they share these information. How do you think that media all of a sudden says that, oh, based on the confirmed sources and this, and it's not all confirmed sources, it's all horseshit. It's simply because the generals tell you.
Aqua, I'm sorry to cut you off, bro. I have to go.
All right, bro.
Nearly 6.
All right. I'm sorry. No, that's all right. It's
Sorry,
fine.
no, sorry about this, but thank you for chatting. Thank you for telling me about stuff throughout history, and I'll see you later.
All right, buddy. You take care.
Take care.
All right. Mhm. Yes, boo boo. What you want? Hmm? Huh? What is
은밀하고 빠르게.
This Allied agricultural research facility in Egypt is vital to global food production. The US plans to strong-arm the local government into handing over control to them. We cannot allow this. A navalized infantry force is en route to the facility. You must stop the Americans from claiming it. The battle is in your hands.
Got a fucking ways to go. Move it! This strategy is not working. Hostiles control more sectors than we do. We are losing the battle. They hold more sectors.
Enemy tank in the area. It's far.
Keep any hostiles away from that objective. Updating tactical status.
Ready to deploy. I spot them, you take the shot.
Our lost submarine has been recovered in Alang, India. While our national property is being defiled, our most secret weapon systems are being looted. This is an emergency. Naval infantry will deploy immediately, and with them you must prevent the Americans from establishing a presence. This effort will not come easily. Fight well.
Our plan is working. We now control more sectors than the enemy.
Oh, baby, go for you. You guys eat. Alright, let me play this and then, okay?
Our troops have secured Charlie Center.
up, baby girl?
Enemy has secured Charlie 2. We are moving to seize Charlie 2. Our troops have captured Charlie Center.
What do you guys want? Huh? Alright, just hold on a second, okay?
What's the status of Aquarezia?
Hostiles need to fire. Seize objectives. We're running behind.
One of our objectives has been targeted.
Got one.
as much distance as you can.
There's two loose men.
I just don't have a good angle from here. Oh. There you go.
The storm is moving in.
Bot.
We have a breach at one of our objectives. We're halfway to victory. Continue to fight.
Don't try to do that with me.
Scanning for hostiles. Got one. Took one down.
Yeah, don't fuck with me. Rambo didn't work this time. Fucking bot, man.
Hostiles have taken great losses. Our victory is close.
Again bot. Couldn't hit him.
We are holding Alpha Sector.
Let me do this again.
They're abandoning the fight. We've won this.
Checkmate. Okay. Let's see if I get any good map, then I'm gonna play. If not, then I think I'm just gonna done with it. Okay. I think I'm done with it. No more of this. Okay. All right, gentlemen, fellas, I'm going to close this.